So let's go ahead and start
on
that
Monday.
on Hump Day. You got to, whatever you have to look forward to. Hey, looking out at that flag that is flying this morning in Indianapolis. The wind is just, yeah, that's what you're going to be waking up to as you step out. Although I cut my heat on last night.
I don't blame you.
I know. It might have been a little too soon. Some people say that's too soon, but I just knew that this morning might have been a little rough getting up.
It's a chilly one, and especially with those winds that we just saw there with the flag blowing in downtown. So grab the jacket, grab the sweater. If you're taking the dogs out, just know they might not be exactly thrilled by the weather this morning.
If your dogs are a wimp like me, the full-on winter coat. That's what I grabbed this morning. I haven't considered like pants underneath the dress, like layers.
I did. Yeah, no
See?
shame. No shame, Lindsay.
You got to be prepared. And then it's not so bad. Outside, we are looking at temperatures now starting to fall near the freezing mark over in east central Indiana. Take a look at the difference here where we've had a little bit of cloud cover versus where the sky has been clear. We've got about a 10-degree temperature differential between Flora at 42, Lafayette at 42, and then Hartford City 35, and Winchester has now dropped to 33. Here across the metro, we are at 43 in downtown. It's 42 over in Greenfield, but those cooler temperatures still having us fall into the mid-30s between Connorsville and Richmond. It's 42 in Shelbyville right now, and a lot of 30s on the map across the southern tier of the state, where we have an ongoing frost advisory that will be in effect through 9 o'clock this morning. Another cool day overall. We still have a northerly wind component that's going to keep our temperatures from warming up too much today. So your forecast keeps us in the 30s and 40s, depending on where you are this morning, and then eventually getting back to the mid to upper 50s for highs today with a mix of sun and clouds. Will be perhaps a few degrees warmer in western Indiana, where we see a little bit more sunshine, a little cooler, where the clouds will be a little thicker between Muncie and Richmond with a high of 54. We'll talk more about a warming trend on that road to the weekend coming up. But at 6:02, we got to get you updated on traffic this morning. We got some big time changes that we're going to talk about downtown. But real quick, wanted to hit on this closure on the northeast side. This is the ramp from 69 southbound onto Benford Boulevard. This was expected to reopen at 6 a.m. Obviously, it has not, so do want you to be prepared. Traffic will be diverted onto 465 until that lane to Benford Boulevard does reopen. We'll keep you posted on that one when it does reopen. This not going to reopen until Halloween. So this is the new closure, 65 southbound. This is right here at West Street, where all traffic is being diverted off at that exit, where 65 south will be closed from West Street over to Alabama. So that's this stretch right here you see in purple that includes all of those ramps at the north split. What is open? The ramp from 11th Street and Delaware Street onto I-70 eastbound out of downtown, so you can still access that. And then also the ramp from Washington Street onto 65 southbound. That's going to be the way you can get out of downtown on 65 south of all of those closures. Otherwise, if you're coming into the city on the northwest side, you can utilize 465 southbound or 865 to 465 eastbound. That will also get you around this closure here in downtown. Probably just a good idea to map it and see what the best way to get downtown is, as this again will be closed for the next couple weeks. Guys.
Some big changes for drivers this morning, Lindsay. Thank you. Well, we want to get you caught up on the very latest in the Delphi murders trial as it is getting much closer. 12 jurors and 4 alternates are now selected to go through that trial from Allen County.
And the group will decide the fate of Richard Allen, who is accused of killing teenagers Libby German and Abby Williams more than 7 years ago now. So now that the jury is selected, they'll be moved from Allen to now Carroll County tomorrow, where they'll be sworn in.
So Judge Francis Skulls says the trial is expected to take 1 month. The jury will be sequestered the entire time, which means they will be isolated from public and their family. Also on Thursday, the judge is expected to make rulings on a series of motions the court is considering, and there are no court proceedings set for today.
Let's take a look at a couple of other big developments in court. During questioning, one of Allen's defense attorneys mentioned a hair was found in one of the girls' hands, but he said that it was not Richard Allen's.
So now there is also an effort to block the jurors from seeing those suspect sketches we've seen so much of. This is the first one. It came out 5 months after the murders in 2017. The second here in 2019 was released. So the prosecutor said they could prejudice and mislead the jury. He also says they are no longer relevant because they weren't used to identify Allen.
You can watch our special on the Delphi murders trial right now as it is streaming on WTHR+. This will catch you up on all the major developments in this case since 2017. WTHR+ is a free download on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku.
6:05, and this morning we have an update on a story we first brought you as breaking news last week. A 14-year-old that was hit on his bike on the city's Far East Side has died from those injuries.
Yeah, a driver hit Wilberto Rivera III while he was on his bike on North Cumberland Road near 10th Street. At last check, IMPD hasn't arrested anyone in this case, but they are asking for helpful information about the driver involved. Reach out to IMPD if you know anything. Well, this morning, a second former IU basketball player is coming forward with allegations of sexual assault against longtime team physician Brad Bomba Sr. In a new lawsuit against the university, the former player, listed as John Doe, says that he played for IU in the 90s under Coach Bobby Knight. He says that he was sexually abused by Dr. Bomba Sr. under the guise of medical examinations. In this lawsuit, Doe also alleges that team personnel were aware of the abuse and would make derogatory and joking remarks to the student athletes about Bomba Sr.'s conduct. Last month, the university announced that it was launching an investigation after the first player came forward with those accusations. They're also asking any other student athletes who may have been abused to come forward. There's an anonymous reporting hotline that you can call. It's posted on WTHR.com along with an email address.
Well, right now, recovery efforts are still underway in Florida and North Carolina after Hurricanes Helene and Milton battered the southeast. This is video of just how bad it was when those storms hit. In total, 17 people were killed in Florida from Milton. So far, electricity has been restored to 93% of the people. Students are also returning to class, and gas stations are finally starting to reopen.
Well, in North Carolina, though, a much different story. Nearly 3 weeks after Helene, the state still has 92 people unaccounted for. Power outages across the state now stand at 13,000 at last check, so a lot of people still in the dark this morning.
Yeah, in the meantime, we know that Task Force One, as they always do, they headed out to help in the recovery efforts, specifically in North Carolina first and then to Florida. So they have had a long couple of weeks helping out people, but they're now back in Indiana.
It's a bright spot for us this morning. Matthew Foltz is sharing their heartwarming homecoming after several weeks away. Good morning, Matthew.
That's right. Good morning to you both. It is a very heartwarming and overdue welcome back home as more than 80 Hoosiers return home from their mission. The task force commander-in-chief now calling this deployment historic. Tuesday afternoon, task force members were welcomed home by their loved ones from Florida and both the North Carolina, where both Hurricane Milton and Helene hit. It was the longest single deployment in task force history as the team left out in September 24th. They moved to North Carolina and then back to Florida after Milton hit. Task force crews helped evacuate more than 300 residents alongside FEMA as well as other rescue crews. We're actually told they came across everything from floods, rain, and high winds. We spoke with some members who were deployed for the first time.
Things that we just kind of roll with the punches and have to figure out what's the next process, what we're going to do. So it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, a lot to take in on your first deployment. Now the team will be getting some much needed rest here back at home. The task force response team has deployed to 56 disaster events throughout the United States, so they are definitely hard at work. Meanwhile, there are still ways you can join in and help the fight down in the southeast. So we do have information right now at our website at WTHR.com.
I know they never know what to expect, but I can't imagine that being your first deployment and being away for so long helping. But thank you, Matthew.
Well, this morning here at home, Indy DPW is hoping to curb speeding and reckless driving with a new project next year. The area they plan to focus on is the Community Heights neighborhood. This idea came actually from neighbors themselves who did their own experiment last year. Yeah, they got together and they said, hey, no more of this speeding through our neighborhoods. They set up barriers on East 10th Street to slow down drivers, first of all. And their plan worked, reduced crashes by 74% according to their data. Now, Indy DPW is planning a redesign.
This would be the first tactical urbanism program that a community organization has done in Indianapolis that's going to lead to a major full-scale redesign of their roadway.
The city did set aside millions of dollars in next year's budget specifically for this project. DPW said they plan to start that redesign phase next year and also hold neighbor meetings so they can get input and feedback on how they think this project worked, and it sounds like it was a success.
74% is very impressive to cut down on crashes like that.
Just leave it to yourself. Get everything done that you need. Well, this morning there are rising concerns about the needs of people experiencing homelessness here in Indianapolis. The organizations who are tasked with providing shelter say the weather changes, which pretty early this year, there is more demand for assistance.
So several area groups got together last night, including Wheeler Mission and the Salvation Army. They're focusing on figuring out what they'll need to make sure people have a warm place to stay. Leaders with Wheeler Mission say that their demand has only grown, and the Salvation Army says they're also seeing this overwhelming need.
Because of how things are going in the economy today, it's just really hard for people to stay housed. And we're just seeing so many more people, a lot of people with children, a lot of pregnant women with children.
So while this group is working hard to do their part, some are actually calling on state lawmakers to act now.
So right now, Wheeler Mission is at a 98% capacity at its shelter for men, and their other shelters are struggling as well to be able to take new people in. Your time is 6:11. We'll be right back.